this is part 30 of our 100% walkthrough for Oracle of Ages. And this part will be going through the first part of Mermaid's Cave, which really is one of the more confusing dungeons in the game. Red, I know you said it's probably the most confusing. I think the next one, Jabu Jabu, is also very confusing.
That one's bad too.
But just very confusing, and we'll talk about it as we go throughout. But anyways, in this part, we go through the past a little bit, where we get a Gasha Seed, the map, and the compass. And then we return to the present, where we also get the dungeon map for, well, the present.
And that's one of the things that really adds to the confusion and the length of this dungeon is we will be exploring it both in the past and the present. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've really done it in this game, and it really adds some length and complexity to this dungeon.
Well, it's kind of cool, like the dungeon's cool in that way because it is the only one, I believe, that kind of has a whole past and present, concept that really is what the Oracle of Ages game is. So, I kind of wish more dungeons would have had this element. But at the same time, as I came in with, it did make it very difficult. So, it's cool in a way, but at the same time, it made it very difficult.
It made it difficult. Plus, we've talked in previous parts about how when we do something in the past, it changes the present. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's when we think the game really shines with the whole, concept of the time. And I feel like in this dungeon, even though we explore the past and the present, one doesn't really affect the other. Like, we go through the past basically to get the dungeon item, and we fight the boss in the present. But what we do in one versus the other, what we do in the past doesn't affect the present that much, and I wish it did.
I think there is one part, and I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I believe there's one or two things that actually you do have to do something in the past to affect the present. Like I said, can't think of what they are, but really what you're kind of saying, I wish it would happen more in the dungeon.
Me too.
Now, one thing I don't understand is why is the Mermaid's Cave dungeon on a Goron mountain range? That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever, because we've been in Mermaid Mountain, we've not even seen water, and well, I guess there's water at the base, but then we go into this whole water dungeon, so it really didn't make sense. But going along with that, having water in a 2D dungeon, I've always thought it made them a little bit better and makes it stand out more in 2D games.
It really does, and in this one, unlike in Link's Awakening or whatever, where it's just you just kind of swam in the side-scrolling view, in this one we'll actually do some of the swimming in the top-down view, and they actually do a really cool effect with the screen with ripples, and we'll talk about that a little more later in the dungeon when we actually do it. But they did something a little bit different, which I did appreciate, and like you said, it did help break up the dungeon a little bit, and at least it gave us something different to look at.
Now in this dungeon we did get some cool enemies there, in one of the beginning rooms. I don't know if we saw them before, which means we probably already have saw them before, but I'm not going to try to pronounce their name because it's very difficult, but it starts with a K. But those candles that you kind of shoot an ember seed at, and they kind of go crazy and bounce around stuff. That's a very cool enemy, but at the same time, for some weird reason, I found them extremely hard to dodge. And I found the best way to defend against them is to absolutely stand still and just hope nothing happens at all.
Well, I like the concept of just using the ember seeds to just light them on fire it really is a candle. And they remind me so much of the bob-ombs from the Mario series, where you'd hit them and you get as far away as humanly possible. Or like you said, you just stand still and hope they don't bounce around to you and blow up on you. But I just thought it was an enemy we haven't seen before. And that's kind of uncommon in this game. Even though we're progressing so late in the game, most of the enemies in this dungeon are ones we've seen before. So to see something a little new and with a different concept like that to defeat them, I actually really appreciated that.
Like I said, I don't know if it's new or not. We probably had that enemy in the last dungeon for all we know. As much as we space out these parts, it seems for this game. But one thing I kind of also found shocking is how fast they move. For some reason, I just don't think in a 2D Zelda game we move very fast, except for when we have I guess Pegasus seeds and Pegasus boots. So to see an enemy move around that fast, I thought was kind of different and a little bit unique, and that's really all I have on that one, I guess. So I couldn't think of the next place I wanted to go there.
Oh, I don't even know where to go. Anyway,
well, pick something.
There was a couple rooms ago actually where we had the camouflaged balls
gels
on the floor. Or gels, sorry.
Color changing gels.
Yeah, we'll get them straight one of these. I'll get them straight one of these days. But it's just we've seen that concept before in this game. I just really like the idea of having to change the color of the floors to make them appear. And you mentioned this when we were kind of going through our notes. It's really easy to forget to go back and get that compass.
I believe is that the compass we got right there? Because I can't remember. You see how much attention I'm paying actually. Because I had the map and then the compass, but I never actually saw us get the map. But like you said, it could be very difficult and hard to remember to go back right there. But one thing I will say, kind of going back to the water, one thing that is cool about this dungeon, and we don't get the item in this part. I think we do get in the next part, but I think the item that we get is very cool, and it really adds a lot to this dungeon. And for a confusing and difficult dungeon, it makes it a little bit fun.
You and I are going to disagree on that one. I actually did not like the dungeon.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I actually thought it was kind of a cool item because...
But that gives us something to talk about in the next part.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you want to talk about in this part, though?
You want to talk about Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, though, I mean, this dungeon is the longest one so far in the game. It's going to be 4 full parts, which is our first one that does that. So,
and it's the only one that does that, too. Well, I remember when I was preparing today, I was like, by the time I got to the third part, I was like, oh, my God, what in the world are we going to talk about? Which we've had a lot of problem with that game. It's one of those things with 2D games where you just hit a certain point, and you can't really reference it or go other places you want to. And so,
yeah,
I mean, this is a very long dungeon for a 2D game, and I would say probably one of the longer ones, even compared with maybe Minish Cap and Oracle of Seasons.
I would agree with that. It's just doing the entire past and present. It really pads the length. And I got to say, I do not like the dungeon theme in this dungeon at all, so having to listen to that for the full 4 parts.
I agree with you. It's just very annoying. I actually wrote that down in one of the other parts. And one thing that you'll see here at the end of the video when we go to the present, one thing that I would have really liked is if they would actually change themes between the past and the present. Just maybe switch it up a little bit, so you actually knew which time period you were in. Now,
exactly.
You will see that we get a different color, so that helps out a little bit. I'm with you. The theme was annoying. Just one of my least favorite themes, really, in the game. And just if we could maybe got a different one, or maybe just remixed it a little bit, that would have really made the dungeon not really stand out, but may stand out a little bit.
At least they did change up the color scheme. But what I've always thought when it comes to this dungeon, I kind of compare it to the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time, when we explore half of it as a kid, half of it as an adult. But there were a lot of differences between the two halves. And I feel like in this dungeon, other than the color scheme and the layout of a few of the rooms, they're not different enough to really make it distinct. You kind of got to stop and even think whether you're in the past or the present.
That's very true.
It's been the case in the whole game, don't get me wrong.
Well, that's the thing with the Spirit Temple. Yeah, you went through as a child, but you went through a whole different annex than you did as an adult. Now, it eventually came together in the middle, but the two parts were so different. And like you said, these two parts are so similar, really, except for the purple floors, which I absolutely love. I'm not a huge fan of the color purple, but for some reason, it just fits this dungeon so well. But I kind of like that change right there. But like you said, overall, the layout of the map, was very similar.
Well, which I kind of get, because we are exploring the same dungeon just in the past and present instead of exploring 2 different halves of the dungeon. But I'm with you, man. The purple and Zelda games, I feel like, have always done a good job. When you think back to Majora's Mask or Minish Cap, and the use of purple in these Zelda games, I think, has always been strong. Because like you said, it's not our favorite color in the world at all. But for some reason, it makes it seem a little more creepy or a little more evil almost.
Well,
just that dark shade.
Well, I'm sitting here.
I think it's used very well here.
I'm sitting here. I'm thinking we really haven't seen it that much that I can remember in 3D Zelda games. It's mostly been and I'm sure we saw some purple in 3D Zelda games, but it seems to be a lot more in the 2D games. I don't know if that's just maybe the color scheme works better in the 2D games, but now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm kind of for Breath of the Wild that's about to come out actually next Friday. Maybe we'll get to see some more purple in that game, and just I don't know, it'd be kind of cool, I guess.
Well, now that we're talking about Breath of the Wild, this is actually going to go ahead and wrap up part 30 of our 100% walkthrough for Oracle of Ages.